Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining another episode of Athletic Definition. My name is Coach Ray Z, and today I'm joined by my guest, my friend Carlos Pineda. Welcome to Fireside. How are you doing today?
I'm terrific, Coach Ray. This is awesome here. I'm learning your gadgets here. First podcast, so I'm gonna try and have some fun with you.
Uh, well, yeah, thank you so much for joining. And I got a, oh, since you're new here, this is actually created by Fallon and Mark Cuban. So this is their app. So they're bringing a lot of cool little never before done features as far as in podcasting and just being able to bring up your audience and the way we're talking, you and me, live like this.
Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna support the Dallas Mavericks a little bit, right?
I mean, yeah, yeah, and I know you watch all kinds of sports. So the reason I wanted to bring you on here is because I like to spotlight people that are just active, that can inspire. Because really, you don't have to have millions of followers. You don't have to be like an internet influencer to motivate and inspire the average person. And people who are active, if you consider, the obesity and everything in the country, people that are active are kind of like unicorns. We may not think of it because we hang around a bunch of other active people, but we could all learn from someone's story. So I wanted to bring you on, and every guest I bring on, I always like to find out, like, as a kid, did you get like pushed by your dad or mom into sports? Did you just like it on your own? Did you play? Some people have that overbearing dad that wants to like live out their dreams through their kids, and then some people just want to see their kids have fun. So, and then some kids are bookworms, so they don't even care about sports. So, how was it for you?
Gotcha, gotcha. No, all good stuff. Before I kind of maybe get into the story, I know we were talking a little bit offline about it, Ray. I want to thank you first of all for inviting me. When I got your message, I was very flattered and humbled. And to be quite honest, I got nothing to hide. My first thought was, "Oh, that's so cool. He thought of me." But then I thought, well, why? Why me? Meaning, I just kind of feel like I'm a regular old guy here, just living, who obviously does enjoy all the running and endurance things. If you guys know me, that's part of my life. So that was my first thought. But then after giving it a bit of a minute to sink in, I thought, you know what? That's not true. We all do have some type of story, whether we know it or not, right? I know some people's stories a lot more linear and, something happened to lead them to a certain thing. And then I think other people might have a story like me where it's more of a slow evolution over time. So that was just to give you a little background of what I thought, to thank you for inviting me, and to kind of continue on the social media too. That's another thing. Um, when I thought, oh, he invited me, I'm like, I'm not like some big influencer guy. I don't have a bunch of followers. It's not really a thing in my life. But I do know that when I share the things I do online, I think to myself, hey, I'm just sharing this long run I did, this beautiful trail I did, because I'm kind of proud of myself. And I think, well, nobody's going to care that I did it. But if there's that one person who maybe saw it or kind of was infected by it, I think, you know what, that's worth it. So I kind of always do things without much thought. All right. It's not so much for a reason. But what I have learned over all these years, and it's kind of crazy, social media, and I'm kind of an old school kind of guy, is I will consistently over time, and it blows my mind, get a message, a DM from somebody, a friend, an old coworker. They'll just say something where they've never said before, where, hey, Carlos, because of you, I started my first 5K race, or I started the gym or something, right? And every time I get those messages, I'm just like, wow, that's so cool to hear. And again, it makes me think, I'm not really doing this for you, but I've kind of learned over time that it affects people. So nowadays, my thoughts are, you know what? I'm sharing what I do. If I love it, I share it. And whoever it resonates with, I let it resonate with. And I've kind of accepted now, like, you know what? It's going to touch certain people. So that's kind of why I share what I share. Um, but going back to your question, as a kid, I played soccer. My parents didn't push me to do anything at all. It was just amazing parents put me into sports to see what I liked, and it was soccer. Played soccer from the age of 5 to about 15 years old. That was pretty much every weekend. I was on club teams, tournaments, things like that. soccer family, I guess we could call it, and I loved it. Right, team sports. It was fun to be around new friends, and it wasn't until about high school that I made the switch because obviously I wanted to play on the soccer team, but the soccer season ran parallel to the basketball season, and I've always been a huge basketball fan. So I was like, nah, I want to play basketball. You know, a little short Latin guy, I still wanted to play basketball, and I wanted something different. So I had to make a choice, and that's when I started playing basketball in high school. And so everything's just been kind of evolution, no pressure at all. It's just doing the things that I enjoy doing as a kid.
And thank you for that additional, backstory. I think it's very helpful to the listeners. I never, brought up that you're an marathoner, Ironman. So that we'll get into all that as well. But
Of
that's
course.
cool. I love basketball. Wasn't very good at it, and it's probably because I started too late. Kind of like how you were mentioning high school, like to be like really looked at by colleges or even have the fundamentals and the basic skills to compete. It's really difficult unless you have certain genes, genetics. But what did you like to play? Did you get to start?
I did. I did. Well, school I went to in South Bay here, I'll be quite honest, not like the best basketball program in the nation or anything. So gave a regular guy like me an opportunity to play. And I was always that short, scrappy, fast guy, good defender. So my hustle got me to play. So yeah, I did start for a few years. And then senior year, I played, but to be honest, it wasn't important to me anymore. I mean, things are on my mind about life beyond that, graduation and goals. And so I still love the game, don't get me wrong, but it's not like I had, I'm going to NBA. Woo, like nah, it was just something fun. And it wasn't until from playing basketball, then I started, of course, college and working. It wasn't until several years after working actually that the running thing entered my life, and then it's pretty much it's funny how the one decision, I always think back to it, like the one decision I made then affected, I was 20 years ago nearly, changed my life, right? And so that's kind of one of the things we could definitely talk about later, how you think you're making a small choice and you have no idea the effect it has down the road. And that's pretty much how everything's been for me.
Oh, 1000% agree. My one marathon was a one time bucket list, one and done in
Yeah. What year? Can I ask? When was your one and done bucket list?
2007.
Which one? LA?
LA Marathon. Yeah, that was the first one.
Got it. So you were just, hey, I want to do it. Sounds cool. Let's see if I can try it. And then the bulb went
As a
off.
little kid, just growing up in LA, it'd always be on like, I think channel 5 and channel 11. And I would watch it on TV and didn't even really know what that distance was, but it seemed cool and just wanted to run it. And then just, when I finally did it, I had no idea. So I didn't train for it. So
Oh,
yeah. And
okay.
I like you said, you have no idea how that's going to just change everything for you. You think even not training for it, it's like I wasn't taking it seriously, but now it's like what, 16 years later, still running.
Check it out. And you have a podcast talking about, I mean, think about that. From one decision, I completely agree. Then 2007 to right now, you got me and guests, and I've been following your amazing podcast. And it's like this wouldn't exist if you didn't decide that then. So isn't that kind of crazy when we really connected?
It is, and I could even narrow it down to even more smaller experiences, times where public speaking is a big fear for people. So I know a lot of people that want to come on, but they tell me I don't like my voice, or I don't like the way I look, or I don't want people to hear me.
Oh wow,
So
didn't know
things
that.
like that is like I did Toastmasters and I failed miserably when I would go up and do like
Speech.
speech. And I living in Hollywood, I went out for some like acting roles and got embarrassed, and everybody's good looking in LA. And yeah, all those little experiences helped me to have a podcast now.
Got it. But you know what you did, and I can resonate with this. Everything you just told me, you tried it. You went for it, right? And I think that the magic and all the things that we get out of life comes from those decisions of, hey, I'm scared. That feeling I always say that I get that little stirring feeling in the gut. We all get it. Oh, I don't know if I should do it. That race, this event, and this whatever interview, and it's when you realize, you look back, hey, when you take that leap is when things make you stronger. So I give you props for everything you just said there. That makes sense to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so let's talk a little bit about the college years. Was that because it sounds like you were pretty active growing up, and then you were pretty active in high school. So did you keep up that activity up until you discovered running, or did you kind of make it your party years?
100% did not keep it up. So the colleges will be quick. Basically, once senior year of high school and basketball ended, so basketball, soccer's done. Then it was college, and honestly, I just immersed myself into a college student, UCLA here in LA, my dream school. I worked hard to get there and achieve the goal, and I entered freshman year with the incoming girlfriend. So, of course, I had a relationship on one side and studying on the other side. And then halfway through college, became single. Then I became a little bit more college in my mind because I was more over the place, doing nothing bad, but just doing what you do in college, right? Football games, basketball game, parties. So during all those years, honestly, I kind of didn't have time to be active, right? It wasn't even on my mind. I was trying to, get my grades right, just trying to find the balance. That's the thing what college is, right? Balancing fun for me with experiences with, hey, you still got to pass your classes, right? So I took care of all that. And then graduation happened. And I was fortunate enough to, again, my goal was I wanted to have a job right out of the gate. And I did. So I had a great job opportunity immediately. I graduated in June, was in training in July, and went into work mode, right? Now, again, when I usually have a goal, I like to go at it. So I was like, all right, I'm an adult now. I got to work, right? And I wanted these. It was a sales job, just so you know. So you had these quotas to fill. But it's funny because even this job connected to how I kind of discovered running. I worked for a large beverage company, just so you know. Surprise, surprise here. I guess they brainwashed me. But anyways, uh, was not active for the first 2 years of working. And I remember because I worked for a beverage company, I was young on the road driving. I drank this stuff. Oh my God. I drank it like it was water. So I look back on it, it's so bad. And, kind of a smaller guy, but I gained weight. I remember my family would tell me I gained weight first year or two, my cheeks were puffier and, a little bit more fluffy. And it hit me. I'm like, oh man, no wonder I'm, drinking this 2, 3 a day is not good. I'm eating fast food. So that was the first time in my life that I realized, whoa, 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 what I put in my body is something I got to think about. Because, when you're young, it's just metabolism, right? Um, the running thing hit me when I got a promotion from here in LA to Chicago, Illinois. And I moved to Chicago and I moved, didn't know a soul. I wanted new experiences, didn't know a person out there other than the guy who hired me, didn't know the streets, didn't know the people. So it was all kind of scary, but at the same time, exciting to me. I like those challenges, right? And so I'm here in this brand new city, trying to figure out how to make friends, figure out, well, how do you meet people, right? I've never had to do that. And I was in a mode, what happened is I was in a mode of try things, try things. So, for example, I saw my gym had a basketball league. Oh, cool. Let me join the league. Maybe I'll make some friends that way. I did it. It was fun. Didn't really make any friends. Or there was this other kind of league that I saw, I remember, and I thought, oh, that looks cool. Let me try it, right? And then where we get to the marathon is I remember seeing an article in the Chicago newspaper advertising the Chicago Marathon later that year. And again, my brain went, oh, Chicago Marathon, cool. Like, just like your story, Ray, let me try. That's a kind of a bucket list. Like, wow, I've never done that, but it sounds hard. I'm going to try it. And that's what sparked it. I said, you know what? I'm in a new city. I'm trying new things. This sounds interesting, a way to see the city. And that one decision, again, is so powerful. 20 years later of experiences from that one decision is because of that. And so what I did is I saw online a local running club. I still remember it, CARA, CARA, Chicago Area Runners Association. Uh, they invited people to come over. They had workshops. They ran on Saturday mornings. And that was my intro. It's funny, all the basics that I think about, a lot of it came from back then. We learned about nutrition. Don't wear cotton shirts because your nipples get bloody, which happened to me, right? The shoes, injuries. And so that kind of experience became fun, right? I had somewhere to be every Saturday morning. I had a group of people to meet. And if you remember what I said, I'm in this brand new city where I don't know anybody. So I'm very eager to socialize. And so great, I think 4 or 5 months of training, built up. I was excited to do this marathon. The marathon itself was, I think, a very typical first marathon where I felt amazing in the beginning. And I came out too fast, mile 4 or 5. And I remember mile 18 and 20, I'm dying, right? I'm doing everything the coaches told me not to do, right? But of course, that's kind of the magic in it. You push through, you finish. Still remember 4 hours, 46 minutes. Again, the feeling. It's that euphoria, right? Like, I'm so excited. Oh my God, what am I doing? This is terrible. Never again. Oh my God, I finished. That was amazing, right? Like, oh, just a roller coaster. And here's where I could tell you the trigger happened. Race ended. Now what? Okay, training's over. Marathon's over. Check the box. I just figured, okay, go back to life. Life was working. So I stopped running. There was no more schedule. It was just for the next month, it was back to sales mode, right? And I remember about a month after the race, it hit me that I missed it. Like I realized that I missed the structure of what was created all those months. I missed the structure of having somewhere to be on a Saturday, knowing Tuesday is these miles of running I have to do. It's Friday rest day. Every day had something to do. And I realized I liked it and I realized I missed it. And so I thought, wow, I want to keep doing this. So I just said, well, let's do another race. And I looked on, these running magazines at the time, and I saw a few months down the road I think it was Las Vegas. It wasn't a big race. This was 2003 now, 2003, 2004. I said, oh, let's do Las Vegas. So again, once you register and put your Visa card down, in my mind, that's when it's real, right? So trained on my own. Now I kind of knew the program and knocked out Las Vegas. I was like, oh, that was awesome. Now that's two down. And guess what I did? And it's just a pattern. And I looked down the first, oh, LA Marathon's 2 months from now. Oh, I can do that. I just ran 26. Let's do LA. And that was my first LA. I think it was 04. And signed up for that one. Came back, flew back to LA, did the LA. And then the rest just kind of snowballs to, hey, I saw an ad in the newspaper. I want to do this bucket list to now I have this pattern and I've found this new passion that I didn't know I had. So that's kind of the beginning part.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I knew you were a UCLA fan, but I didn't know you went to UCLA and graduated. So,
Class of
uh, con-
99, buddy. 99, baby.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And also, I didn't know that you went to Chicago and lived there as well. So that, and just going there, not knowing anybody, the whole new experience. That's what you got to do, is make yourself uncomfortable
You got
and
it.
be willing to be put in those situations for growth. And yeah, Chicago, if I'm correct, and I don't know if at the time, isn't it, you have to like qualify or lottery or something like that, because it's
Well,
pretty large.
interesting you say that. Today, yes, but that's it's kind of funny. It's 20, yeah. Later this year will be 20 years. I remember it was October '02, so I'm coming on 20 years from that. Back then, it was so different. It makes me feel so old saying that. I remember getting into Chicago was easy. There was no waiting list. There was no, whatever entries they had, there was open slots. So you just paid your fee, signed up. I wish I could find, I mean, I don't think I have a receipt how much I paid, but I know it wasn't much. I know it was something like $60, $70. And you and I both know today that's not a marathon price, right? LA Marathon's 200 something bucks, and Chicago and New York, all these huge ones, they're in the one and two and $300 ranges. So it just shows you 20 years ago, there definitely was popularity, I think, in marathon running or endurance events, but nowhere near, I think, what it's become over these 20 years. Because now, like you said, it's wait list, it's, fees. And so it was just different times for sure.
And I do have a lot of younger listeners. They want to know how come you just didn't go on like MySpace or Facebook and meet people that way.
Is that really a question out there?
No, no. But I do have a lot of like
Friendster?
listeners
Friendster?
in their
Remember
twenties,
Friendster?
and they're probably like, "What do you mean he had a hard time meeting people? Like, why didn't he just go online? Why didn't he just go on social media?"
I have the answer to that because if you do your mathematics and the history in 2002, I don't think MySpace was even out yet. It was around 0405, right? We all know Facebook and Instagram. That's way later. That's, 08, 09, and 2010. So all of that was like super, if anything, it was super new. So as I think back, it wasn't even a thought in my head to use those platforms, right? That's why I think I'm a kind of odd generation, but I love it because all the way, if you think about it, through college years, it's kind of pre-digital, I guess, pre-internet, right? Like a whole childhood of you play outside and there's no cell phones and stuff. But then as I'm an adult, it starts to hit. So my mentality is always, I feel like, anchored in the past, meaning I want to meet people face to face. I want to touch you, see you, be around you. It wasn't, hey, let me go on this computer thing, right? That's kind of like a thing that is today, but it wasn't a thing 20 years ago. So again, it's kind of weird. I think back to those things a lot now because times is so different, right? Times are so different.
It is so different. The one thing I do got to say is with this technology and the pandemic, it has helped. It's made it easier. At least, hey, you could see each other. Imagine if the pandemic happened like pre-internet,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
pre-communication, how difficult that would be. Even more like isolation and depression. That would be tough.
Absolutely. I know I kind of laugh at that a little bit, but I also don't. And I remember there was during prime lockdown, 2020, there was these memes going around, and there was this one meme that was meant as a joke, but it really made you think, and it said exactly that. It said, "Be said be happy that you're going through this in 2020, because if it was 1999, you would be stuck on your couch with no internet, no Netflix, no social media, your four channels on TV or whatever." And I started laughing because that's how it was. And if you really think about it, you're completely right. Like, how isolating would that be? There was no connection. So it's just wild when you think about it.
So I want to get back to your running. So you start running. You do like what 3 marathons that I know of. At what point did you decide to do an Ironman? Like
Got it.
how and then what was it the challenge, or was it also like the fear of not unknown if you could do it?
Oh man, I'll get into it. It's all of the above. All of the above. What occurred, again, if we go over 20 years, we'll be here talking way too long. So I'll do my best, Ray, to shorten the stories. But from Chicago Marathon '02, I caught the bug, obviously, as I mentioned, without even knowing I caught the bug. And I think I did about 6 marathons on my own for the next 3 or 4 years, right? It's just, this is what I do. I like it. I know how to train. And I would just print out my little schedule, put it on the fridge, and I knew what to do. And I didn't have any other running friends, which is weird. At that time, I thought it was normal because I'm like, well, nobody wants to run 15 miles with me this Saturday, right? And '07, I joined a group called Team in Training. I don't know if you remember Team in Training. They're still around.
Yes.
That was another decision that's so crazy. A small decision that really changed my mentality. Team in Training, give you a quick background. It's a nonprofit organization. They raise money for cancer research, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And in return, when you join this organization, they train you for an endurance event. At that time, they had marathons, cycling events, and triathlons. And so I had always seen them at all these races, the purple shirts at the LA Marathon. And I always thought, hey, that sounds cool. What is that about? And so I went to an info session one day. Again, that decision, I almost didn't go, but that was a huge decision. I learned about what they did, and I wasn't fearful at all about, can I complete a marathon? Because obviously I had just done 6 on my own. But what scared me, which is so silly now that I say those words, is it was a fundraising component. You had to
Hmm.
commit. You had to commit to fundraise. I think at that time it was like $2,000 or $2,500, and the catch being, you're committing to it, meaning if you don't actually fundraise it, you've given them your credit card, and they charge what you're missing, right? So if you fundraise nothing, it's going to get charged from your card. If you fundraise 2,000, but you're 500 short, that. So, nobody wants to lose money. So that was a scary thing for me. Like, oh, I got to ask people for money. Oh, I don't know about this, right? Had that weird thought that we always have. Should I do it? Should I not? And obviously, I got over that fear. I said, you know what? Let's just do it. Which again is another great example. I think it taught me when you're fearful of something, what can come out of it. Because I joined it, amazing experience. I met so many people, amazing individuals. I now had friends that were runners. I went from zero friends who ran to now I had like 25 people who are like, hey, who wants to run 10 miles on Sunday? Who wants to run 15? And I was like, whoa, I have friends now. And then the fundraising part, I put in the work, I sent in emails, I did some events, and I reached the goal. Right? It took some work. It wasn't easy, but the point is, it was easier than I thought. Right? So that changed because now I was surrounded by so many other like-minded people that I hadn't met before. And they also inspired me because just so many walks of life on the team on the things that they were doing. And that kind of takes me to the other events. A few years after doing some more marathons with them, team and training, I had friends who were triathletes, and they were always telling me, you know, talking in my ear, Carlos, yeah, you should try, doing this half Ironman. I'm doing this Olympic sprint. I think you would like it. And for years, I resisted. I was like, that's crazy. Like, the Ironman is that thing you see, we all see on ABC. The guys like can barely walk and he's at the finish line crawling. And I'm like, that's crazy. I don't do that stuff. I run, right? So I was just not in the space. But that seed was planted. And 2008 or so, I decided, you know what? Team in Training has an Ironman team. Something in me, again, it's just the cycles I go through, was scared about it, but intrigued about it, right? And I thought back to the marathon in Chicago. I remember thinking, hey, I was afraid to do a marathon. Look how that turned out. Now I'm a little bit scared to do this Ironman. It might turn out the same. So, of course, pulled the trigger. Amazing experience. It was 9 months of training. They taught me everything at that time. Just so you know, I was afraid of swimming. Swimming was my biggest fear. Bike ride is a 112-mile bike ride. I thought to myself, well, it's riding a bike. I know how to ride a bike. I just got to learn the mechanics and the tools. And then lastly is running a marathon, which I got that. That's my bread and butter. So I followed the program. Amazing experience. I still have some of my best friends to this day from that team. Uh, and again, it was another light bulb moment. I remember when I finished, it was the Vineman full triathlon in Sonoma. I finished and I felt great. I think it was 12 and a half hours is what the race took me. And what surprised me about that is my expectation was, I know I can do it. I'm confident, but I thought it would be this like, oh my God, I don't have an ounce of energy left in me. I'll be crawling, walking to the line like these crazy videos on Wide World of Sports. But instead, a testament to our training, I felt great. I paced myself perfectly. My nutrition was perfect. And when I finished, of course, you're tired after 12 and a half hours. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But the point is, I could have kept going. I felt good. And I remember standing at the finish line waiting for my teammates. And that hit me like, oh my God, I just did that and I feel good. What else can I do? Right. And your mind just starts, it's like it's this crazy snowball, I think. So that experience right there was the next big step because I remember once that race was over, again, you settle down back into life, but you absorb what happened. I remember that was the bigger thing that hit my mind that affected, I think, all the other parts of my personal life. Meaning, I had now proven time and time again, hey, there's this goal, this huge mountain you're looking at, this marathon, this Ironman, this fundraising thing. They're so scary. Oh my God, I remember it's like you're at the bottom of a mountain looking at the top. You're like, I don't know if I can reach that. And then you learn to do the work, to be coached right, blood, sweat, and tears, and you reach the top. And when I reached the top of the Ironman, that's what was like, man, what else can I do? Like now I was like power. I felt very powerful. That was the perfect word. I'm like, well, the next job interview I'm scared of, the next endeavor I want to take, the next promotion that scares me, the next do I want to start a business one day? That's scary. Like now all these things in my mind made sense. Like, you know what? It's the same concept, right? What scares you will make you grow. And if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, what else can you do? So I think that really changed all the decisions moving forward in terms of events, but really in my life because I found it very motivating and powerful to just what else can you tap into, right? And so the lessons just carried on for years and years and years. But I think that those few stories there are kind of how it all started, you know?
Well, that's good. You're confirming, what I believe, that, you think about something, or once you accomplish something, it makes you open the possibilities to plant the seed to what else is possible.
Yes.
So I love that. And then, how long after you completed the Ironman did that seed of the ultra running pop in?
Uh, Maybe I did triathlons for about 2.5 years straight, kind of put running behind. And that was just my focus, right? Because it was fun. And I joined a few more teams. But to be honest, after about 2 years, you get a little burnt out. I think anything. I mean, you could love pizza, right? But if you eat pizza every day, guess what? You can get tired of it. So I got tired of it because triathlon training is so different than just running, meaning you have to have that swim day. Okay, got to find a swimming pool that's open. Oh, bike day. Oh, okay, I got to put the bike in my car and go to the trail. And just so many moving parts that after a few years, I got tired. And I missed just running. And similar to when I had friends that were triathletes telling me, hey, Carlos, you should try triathlons. I had friends now, even more endurance friends, who were trail runners. Same scenario, Ray. It's just like clockwork. Carlos, I do these trail races here at Griffith. I do this trail race here. I think you would like it. You should come out and give it a go. Give it a go. I was the same way, resistant in the beginning. I was like, trail running, like in my mind, I'm telling you funny. It's so bad. I thought this. I thought of trail running as hiking, and then I thought of hiking as not challenging. Right? I thought, oh, that's beneath me. Right? I'm a runner. Right? I run. Hiking is just like what you do on the weekend with your friends visiting out of town. So bad, right? But that's really what I thought of it. But then I went to a few of my friends' races, and I'm seeing all these trail runners. You know what it's like. You
Right.
seeing them at these trails are freaking hilly, and I'm seeing their gear, and I'm seeing all the different types of people, and then I'm like, oh, this is hardcore. Like they're running, right? And this is what really gets you is the hills. So that's where my little brain, you know how it works now. By now you see the pattern. My brain starts like, maybe I could try this, and that's how I made the change. And I signed up, still with Team and Training. I see it as a huge organization that helped me, the Leona Divide 50 miler, 2012, I want to say it was. And again, 50 miles. I've never run more than 26 too. So that was my new, like, well, let's see what I can do, right? And same process. I don't even think I have to repeat it. Amazing team, amazing coaches, put in the work, kind of the scary goal, but you're like, I think I could do it, but I'm not sure, but I'm confident, right? You're feeling all those same emotions. And one of the best experiences. I knocked out the 50 miler, right? And again, it's just like this. I think keep thinking about it. It's like your mind just keeps opening and opening and opening. And after 50, I have super crazy trail running friends. I had friends who were doing 100 milers. And I remember the same thing. It's like 100 miles, you guys are bananas. Like, yes, I love running. That's just what I do. 50, I'm good with that. Like I know what I felt the moment I finished 50 and the step I took crossing the finish line. And I remember at that time, there's no way I could have taken another step, let alone double. So in my brain, I was like, hey, this is my limit. And so we just leave it at that for a year or two. I'm still around a lot of endurance friends and I'm seeing what they do. And again, the 100 miler. Oh God. I went to a friend's race, the AC 100, which I'm sure you're
Mm.
familiar with.
Yes.
one of the hardest hundreds in the country here in LA. And I think it has seven climbs, 7 or 8 big climbs throughout the 100. And I knew sections of it. So I remember thinking, wow, I know what one of these climbs is like, because I've climbed it. And you got to do this 7 times in, 100 miles. I was like, these people, I was just like, these people, I just gave them props, not for me. Well, 2 years later, I'm on the course, not in AC. I did the Javelina 100 in 2016. Yeah, 2016. That's in Arizona. It's 5 20 mile loops in the desert. So the difference being it's just not as hilly. It's a much flatter course, which has its pros and cons. It's in the desert, so it's hot. So that's the con, of course. So, but it's still 100 miles, right? To me, whether you're doing 100 hilly miles or 100 flat miles, I just think you're a badass regardless, because that's just, I think it's kind of nutty. So the same kind of evolution happened. To shorten my story, is triathlons led to ultras, the 50 led to the 100. It was always influences around me, which I think are positive influences with other endurance athletes. And then your mind, again, it just keeps thinking, whoa, what next? What next? The 100, to tell you my thoughts on it, I'm a one and done on hundreds. That I can promise you. Because as amazing that experience was, 29 hours, 35 minutes, I was second to last to the finish line, which in ultra talk, normally you don't want to be last or slow, as they say, but in ultras it's completely different. It's enduring, right? So for me, I'm proud. Like, hey, I was second to freaking last. Whereas I think that day half the field dropped DNF because it was a very hot day. So in my mind, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm second to last. I'm ahead of 300 people that went home, right? So um, I felt 100 miles was a little bit rough on the body. 29 hours being awake, 29 hours being on your feet. I was like, I don't know if the body is it's an amazing thing we have here. It does things that we push it to do, but I just told myself, I just don't know about if this is healthy to keep doing it, even though I know many people who do hundreds like nothing, right? So I thought, you know what? I'm good. Like, proud, knock it out. Maybe I'll stick to 50 miles and below, which is kind of where I've been at now. And that's been my limit. If you talk to me in a few years, will I give you a different answer? Maybe, but honestly, I don't think so. I think I would have done another 100. I would have done it by now. So for me, the 100's been like, in terms of endurance events, it's kind of that's my ceiling. I'm gonna stop
Okay.
there. But in terms of goals, there's always lots of other goals in other areas that I'm still gonna always have.
Yeah, and because I've known you for a while, I remember when you completed your 100 scene. I'm like, oh, that's very cool, and that's why I named the show "100 Miles to Salsa." And I wanted to
Ah,
ask you that: did you kind of like take a break after that from running? Because you know how, like you said, no matter how much you love everything, you end up taking a break and just kind of get into salsa dancing because the 100 was just so much.
sorta. The salsa. It's funny. There, I actually didn't think about a connection there, but there is sort of a connection to that and the theme. So, yes, I guess my pattern, without even knowing my pattern, is try something new, try something scary, attack it full speed, succeed, and then I'm kind of tired. I'm like, okay, and then I miss what I'm doing, so I kind of need a new thing. Salsa dancing is simply a hobby. I'm not that great at it. I still like want to like I like the pursuit of getting better, but I don't think I put in the effort in it that I do things like running, right? When I do running and triathlons, it's like, hey, let's kill it. But with salsa dancing, it's like, I do it for a few months, then I get tired, a few months. But one of my buddies invited me years ago to a club, and I saw the people doing the salsa dancing. You know how it is. They're looking good. The guys look perfect, and the girls look great, and couples that are doing it right. I was like, I can't do that. Like that looks cool, but I can't do it. But again, what's the competitive mind in you? I'm like, I got to learn. So I took some classes here, class there. Like anything, you learn some basics. You go to these dance clubs, and it's scary at first. The guy, have to ask the girl, hey, would you like quieres un baile? Would you like to dance? And then you get out there, and you hope you don't look like an idiot. You do your best. You hope you have an understanding partner, which it's a great community. And so I started doing that for a bit, kind of to offset training and running. And I don't know, it's been like 5 or 6 years now that I think you still see on my social media. I still go, uh, but I guess I've never attacked the dancing stuff in the same way I attack events, just because it's more of a hobby, right? And what I've learned is funny. Everything is about communities. You know this, Ray. The running community is its own little pocket, which is amazing. And then once you do like triathlons, it's a whole different pocket of community. They're just all different but meshed together. And now that I dance more often, there's a dance community where you see the same people. Oh, you're here Tuesday night. I saw you there at the other place Sunday night. Or oh, you're friends with Ray. Oh, I danced with his so and so. Right? It all weirdly meshes together. And I've met tons of salsa dancers who, oh my God, it's passion. It's 6 7 days a week, and they can't get enough. And when I notice how they sound, I think to myself, I don't feel what you feel about salsa dancing, but it's the same feeling I have running. It's the same feeling I have with this event. It's the same. They're just in different worlds. So for me, it's fascinating, like the passions and the communities people have, because there's a passionate salsa community there that feels how I feel when I do a race, right? So it's kind of wild. It all connects, you know.
Yeah, I always see the salsa dancers and impressed. I've never really thought I can't do it. I just never really tried, and um, I don't
Hey,
know.
if
I
you
don't
want
know.
to try, I'll tell you some places, Ray. Sounds like you like to try things out of your comfort zone. You might not like it. You might, I don't know, but you never know if you don't try, right?
That's true. I did want to touch on another thing. So I know you run the LA Marathon. I've ran the LA Marathon, and a couple of times I think I've ran into you during the LA Marathon.
I know where you're going, but I'll let you finish.
Okay. Yes. And you run with a tutu, LA Marathon. I don't know if you do other marathons. So I
Okay.
kind of wanted to know where you got that idea from and why you keep, running with the tutu LA Marathon. And, even though everybody tries to be like so politically correct, I only ran with you, I don't know, maybe like, I think a couple miles, but there was a lot of obscenities being yelled at.
Really?
Uh,
I don't remember that.
I do.
I usually
And,
get positives, maybe,
and
or maybe
I
I don't
do
hear them either.
remember, I remember also people being like, you can't let the guy with the tutu beat you. You can't let
Oh,
that guy with a fucking skirt beat you. I remember clearly hearing that.
but don't you think that's funny? I mean, that I believe you. That sounds about right. But I feel like that's a funny statement. When I hear that, I'm like, these people are overreacting. Like, I'm just a regular guy. Like, pass me. Like,
Right. Pass me.
yeah. Um, it's actually a much simpler story than people think, but it has taken on a world of its own. So maybe 5 6 years ago, LA Marathon. Done it tons of time. You guys know it's a huge race. 30,000 runners on the streets. My parents were coming out to watch me, support me. Right? They don't come to every race because there's too many, but they've been to some, so they understand the madness at these events. And they were concerned of, oh, well, if we meet you at mile whatever 12, how are we gonna find you? They were, overreacting. Like, how we gonna see you? There's, streets full of people and whatever. And I'm like, don't worry, I'll figure out a way to stick out of the crowd. That was all it was. I was like, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll by race day have an answer for you on here's how you'll find me, here's how you'll see me. And I think the tutu idea came because I saw, well, girls, right? I seen girls wear tutus at other races, which is normal, I guess. And I thought, well, I'll be that weird guy with the tutu and I'll look different. That's all it was meant to do. It was meant for my family to find me. And I remember I ran that race. You forget it's on most of the time, but I remember the reactions I got were hilarious. Like I would hear voices too, like look, mama, look at that man in the tutu, ooh, or like people high fiving me, love the tutu, and it like distracted me. Right, people were talking to me, and I would listen to what they said. So when the race came and ended, I was like, yo, that was fun. Like didn't expect it to turn out that way. So when you say the negative, it might have been there. I don't know. I think I tuned that stuff out.
Eh,
So
Some of, I guess, macho, a lot of like, don't fucking let that guy beat you with a skirt. Keep going. I would hear that a lot, and even not just you, because there's a couple other people that run with, either a kilt or
yeah,
skirts,
yeah, yeah.
and you hear those comments of like, you're gonna let him beat you, bro. You're gonna let him beat you.
Well, let me ask you a question. How did you react to it? Meaning, did it make you go, "Yeah, I'm gonna pass that guy"? You're right, or were you more like, relax"?
Um, in the beginning, yeah, everybody that I would see that was like in a gimmick, I'd be like, I can't let this person in a gimmick beat me. This person's in a. You have people like pushing like baby strollers.
Oh, yeah,
Then you
yeah.
have
I know.
people dribbling basketballs.
Yep,
Then you
yep.
have people running in skirts, and I'm like, to me, I was like, how are they beating me?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I laugh because the baby strollers is common. I give those people props because there's tons of people, that they're flying past me, and I'm just like, holy crap, this guy's pushing a 20-pound little kid, and he's flying past me, but I don't feel any less. I just feel like, hey, that person's on another level, so I applaud.
Yeah, I always get the moms to pass me up, and to be running and holding a conversation is different than just running because it takes more air out of you. So
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh, I just gave birth 3 months ago and pushing the stroller and at a faster pace," and I'm like dying at that mile. I'm like hitting the wall. I'm like, oh, but
yeah.
it's good times.
To finish, I mean, the tutu story is not that long, but to kind of finish it, I guess, is so after that first year, you heard how the experience was just like, oh, that was fun. Next year came around, and it was just a no brainer. Ah, let me do it again. Now it wasn't for my family or parents; they weren't coming to that race. It was just, hey, that was fun. Let me do it again. I picked a different color, and the time I did it now 2 years in a row, that's when it blew up. Like meaning all my friend, endurance friends, people like you, now they would ask me, ah, you gotta wear a tutu every year, Carlos. You're the tutu guy now, tutu man. And so I just laughed. So I was like, now I feel pressure. I'm like, oh, dang, year three. Guess I gotta do a tutu. So year three. Uh, let's do orange this year. Year four, I gotta do a tutu. So now it has taken on a life of its own. It's only for LA Marathon. I don't do it for other races. It's just an LA Marathon thing. Just I made it up. And now I don't know. I feel like it's normal. And at the end of the day, my thoughts are simple. This is fun, man. If you see me at LA Marathon, I never run that race really hard because that's just too fun of a race. I like to high five the people, talk to friends, eat the hot dogs if they're there. They didn't have it this last year. I was bummed out. And the tutu is like, I feel like most people, 99% of the people around smile, laugh, kids laugh, runners laugh, and I'm like, you know what? This is good. This is the spirit that I'm happy to provide. So for me, if you keep me at LA Marathon, I'll always have a tutu. It's just I'm stuck now. I'm stuck to it.
That's a cool story, and uh, even to the negative people, if you motivate someone to keep working out, that's a good thing to me. Like, oh man, I can't believe he beat me. I'm going to have to get better. So whatever gets
You
your
can't let the
engine
tutu
going,
guy beat you, right?
right, right. And so I also know you love sports. So Super Bowl is coming around. There's 4 teams left. Any favorites you have?
All right. Interesting you bring that up. I didn't know we were gonna talk sports. So I do love sports. Huge Laker, this huge Laker, Dodger, UCLA Bruin, but NFL is no real reasons. My least favorite. I'm a weird guy like that. So, and there's a lot of Ram Nation para, you know, pandemonium going on. I root for LA. Okay, go Rams. But I'd be lying if I said my heart is just. It's just. It's NFL. It's just my thing. I'm gonna root for the Rams. I think the Niners look good, but I'm still gonna root for the Rams. But I guess the thing I'm letting you know is my heart's not really into it, right? If it's a Laker finals, if it's a Dodger World Series, that's different. Then I got candles and I got gear. You know, you see me all geared out. So it's a different feeling when those teams play. But for NFL, I'm like, eh. But let me ask you, who do you like?
Well, I'm a Niner fan, so that
Niner.
yeah, I've been a Niner fan forever. And of course, I love the Super Bowl too. It's a good time to get together with friends, eat, enjoy time. So
Cheat day. That's a cheat
yeah,
day for us, right?
yeah, it's a good cheat day. Um, so there's a couple more things I just kind of wanted to touch on. So thank you so much for joining me and everyone who's been popping in and out of the audience, people listening on the simulcast and
Being
on
here.
the streams. Thank you. And everybody who listens in the podcast picked up a new state and I think two more countries.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the countries. Now I have to actually look them up because there's I think 279 countries in the world.
Oh, I didn't know the exact number. Okay, we'll have to look it
Yeah,
up.
I could be. I remember I saw something on a military basis and how many military bases of the U.S. there is, and there's like 265, and there's like 279
Let's go,
countries.
Ray. Let's find them all.
Yeah, so we're almost at all of them in every country. So I guess to do a race that'd be kind of cool. And yeah, that's what I want to get to next. The LA Marathon is what, a month away roughly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Are
yeah.
you doing it this year?
So yeah, so this year we're doing it. I'm involved. You mentioned earlier, Students Run LA program, nonprofit organization here with the LA Unified School District, where you train, these middle school and high school kids to do the marathon. And so I was fortunate enough to get involved a few months ago. One of your past guests and our friend, Coach Fabiola, I saw that she was coaching. And again, it's just randomness of what happens. I reached out to her because I wanted to get involved for next year. My assumption was I missed the boat, right? And when I messaged her, hey, who do I have to talk to? How do I get involved? She was like, oh, you want to help? I go, yeah. She goes, can you help now? I was like, what? She needed, people on her staff. And so just by that sheer interaction, I was able to join up with her. Last few months of COVID have been super tricky, as you can imagine, where we've had training in person. Then we went virtual, especially last month. Now I haven't seen the kids in like a month. And now we're slowly picking back up. So I will be at LA Marathon as a member of Students Run LA, probably running with, different sets of our kids here. Not trying to PR anything or do anything crazy like that. I just want to, be involved. And the tutu's there because, hey, no tutu, no marathon.
Any special color you're going with this year?
To be honest, I haven't thought about it. I have to go. I'm running out of colors. It's been about 6 years, 6 colors. So I'm running out of colors. So I'm going to go back and go, what's missing?
Yeah, what, maybe like a rainbow, a tie dye, something like
Yeah,
that.
we'll
Multicolor.
we'll see. So that one's March, right? Yeah.
March.
And then I'm
And
signed up for the February 27th Ventura Full. That
okay.
one is more a race I picked for myself, meaning I want to attack that one. Like I haven't, I love doing these things. I participate, have fun, but every now and then I need a race that like, hey, I want to test myself like Kent. I want to know how fast I've gotten, if I've gotten fast. And so Ventura, I think, is perfect because I've done it before. It's not that crowded. It's not, I don't want to say it's a boring race, but I'm going to say it's a boring race, meaning there's not much distraction. So therefore, it's a perfect race in my mind to just zone in. Hey, you're not missing anything. Lock in, put in my music, and go. So I'm going to do that on the 27th. I want to see. I'm curious to see what I can do now. And the goal, I think, I always got to have goals. The next goal that I've got in my head for the next year, Boston. Boston Marathon.
Boston. Have you ever qualified for Boston?
No, man. And I gave up on it. So my PR is 3 hours, 55 minutes, which I did years ago. And then I don't think I've ever really tried after that. Obviously, we all know that there's qualifying times. I just had a birthday a few months ago, which gave me more minutes. So my qualifying time is 3 hours, 20 minutes. So I have to somehow finish under 320. When I was at 355 and I had to get to 310, which is what it was before, that's just a huge gap. I honestly mentally gave up. I said, you know what? I can get a few minutes faster. I can get 10 minutes faster. But I just thought there's no way I can get 40, 45 minutes faster. However, I've kind of now goes against everything I've just said in this podcast is wait a minute, that's poor. That's a poor attitude. I've now shifted to, you know what? You got to try. Like anything's possible. I've met tons of, continue to meet tons of amazing friends in this running community. And I see some of the amazing stats that they do and they motivate me. And now I think, wow, look what this guy did over here. He got 30 minutes faster, an hour faster. Why can't I? Right now it's that shift that you have in your mind. And so now I've thought, you know what? I want to try. I want to like forget the tutu for that race, forget high-fiving all the people and eating the foods. It's eat right for the months leading up to it. It's get the right rest and let's see what I can actually do. So Ventura is going to be my mark where I see where's my time. And then from there, I think I'm going to know, okay, I can do this. And I'm going to maybe spend the next few months working on speed. And between you and me, Ray, and I think all runners who do marathons, we know the significance of Boston. I think that's going to be probably one of the most when I get there. I think that'll be one of the most emotional moments because even though the Ultra 100's amazing and I think the Ironman's amazing, marathons are amazing, I just felt like that mountain of Boston and that speed and the gap that I have, I always believed I couldn't, and I think crushing that is just going to feel so satisfying. So I actually visualize it in my head and I thought, man, I got to get there. So that's the next, there's always a goal. Boston, my friend. Wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck, and definitely we'll invite you back once you complete Boston.
That'll be nice.
Because yeah, I mean that's what it's about. Having that mind shift to go for it, try it. As the saying goes, what you reach for the what you aim for the moon, but hit the stars. So even if you fall
Land on the
short,
cloud, right? Go aim for the stars, land on the cloud, right?
yeah, I mean, you either way, you're going to be bettering yourself. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I wanted to thank you so much for being on here and sharing your story. And is there anything maybe I missed that you want to
No,
mention, or since you are a coach for a student one in LA, if people want to donate to that?
sure, sure. Well, first, thank you for having me. Like I said, when I was honestly two words, flattered and humbled when you invited me. Uh, then third, a little bit nervous, but then I'm like, hey, that means it's a good thing if you get nervous, right? So let's knock this out. And I just knew, hey, we're gonna talk about whatever you want to talk about, Ray. And my story is what it is. Can't change it. The only thing I guess I would like to, nothing really I promote, but I guess in everything we've talked about, the one thing I have learned, and it's been accidental, but I'm very happy and proud of it, is if my passion can help motivate, inspire anybody out there, right? I don't care if 99 out of 100 people think it's stupid. I don't care about them. But maybe that one person out of 100 thinks, wow, I want to try that. Wow, I want to get over that fear. Wow, maybe I want to do that. Then that to me is amazing. Because again, I just have fun with my social media. I put out whatever I'm doing, not thinking about it. And then I periodically will always get these messages that just, I mean, it's a good feeling when you think, wow, somebody cares, somebody wants to get better. And my thing is, it's not about just because I run, I want all you guys to run. No, that's just my thing. But I do think having an active lifestyle is a key to all the components of life. At least for me, that's what it's been. Whenever I have in my zone of doing any of these active things, all the other parts of my life fall into place so much easier, right? Relationships, business, just personal. It's just feel good up top. Everything feels good here because you're physically feeling good, you're mentally feeling good, your confidence flows a little bit smoother, and everything in life is easier. So for me, if people out there take anything from maybe our talk, I don't think I want them to take, hey, I should start running. But I think what I want them to take is let's move. Let's anything. If you want to do yoga, do yoga. If you want to do CrossFit, you want to swim. I don't care. Like I think all those things are amazing. You know, I have friends who do jujitsu. I think you do some of that stuff, right, Ray? And I
Right.
love that stuff. I'm always going to cheer for people that I see trying to better themselves. So I guess in all this rambling, what I'm really saying is, I hope what's taken away from maybe our talk and everything that I've learned is that other people can learn is, hey, don't sell yourself short. Try the hard things, right? You'll be surprised what you can do when you have that fear in your little belly. That's the sign. Oh, I've learned like if I feel the fear, okay, I have to do this now. And you'd be surprised what you can grow from. So kind of take all those messages from what I've said, then I think we've hopefully inspired somebody out there.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to what you said. I get those random messages, or sometimes someone will tell me that, and to me it's kind of surprising. So then I said, oh, with a podcast I could reach a larger audience, and that the real goal with the audience, it's a passion. I mean, the podcast, it's a passion project. If I could move one person, that would be tremendous. My
Right.
competitor side wants to take out Joe Rogan and make more money than $100 million. So uh,
Hey,
we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, I think you should just get moving, like you said. Try salsa dancing. There's so many different
oh
things you
yeah,
can do. That's great.
active. And then sorry, I'm just so many things on my mind. Last story I'll tell the people. I got nothing to hide. You and I were supposed to do this podcast about 2 weeks ago. Remember, we were set up right after I just did the Avalon race, and I got hit with the COVID. 2 years I escaped that, right? I've been fine. I've been cautious in what I need to do, think everything right. And 2 weeks ago, oh God, it knocked me out. One really terrible week, I think a second and less terrible week, and now we're here. The reason I bring that up is the times we're living in, right? I mean, it's been almost 2 years of this pandemic. I think even before the pandemic, people should really appreciate their health and focus on what they can do. But I think this should even highlight it more, right? I mean, think about the people we've lost and the way people are getting sick, and it's like if this time in our lives isn't really getting you to move, then I don't really know what is. So for me, again, I'm just very passionate about active, right? Watch what you eat, be active, move, just move in some way because those are the only things that we can control that is not external, right? Everything is external around us, but you can get off the couch and run. You can go take that fitness class. You can, do that next event. So I don't know. That's just about what happened recently. I'm happy to be not so sick anymore, but I feel like it all connects, right? The active lifestyle and, you know, controlling the health that we have control over.
I agree with you, and that's why I try and do a variety. I found out that doing what I'm doing is supposed to be impossible. Me doing a fitness show, I was told I'm going to get buried because there's so much competition. But there's no one doing it like me, so I'm not worried about that. And I'll keep doing variety from ultra runners to jujitsu people. And tomorrow, I will be having Steve Cotter, who is a kettlebell fitness pioneer, and he's probably one of the first and one of the main responsible people for kettlebells being introduced to the United States and teaching. So he's got a huge following. He's got a wealth of knowledge. He started off as a martial artist, then his kettlebells, and he's also a jiu-jitsu a practitioner competitor. So he will be on tomorrow.
See, to me,
Uh,
that's amazing. I believe that there's a person who's into that niche, but I guess I never would have thought about it. And just to hear about it is proof like there's fitness and active in anything. So that's awesome. Which I'm for sure check that out.
Yeah. So now that you have access here, you're more than welcome to come on in to the audience or any other show, participate, ask questions if you want. There will be different people that that you've known, that you've seen. We had Bob Saget on here before you passed. We've had Jay Leno, Jerry Rice.
Wow.
So there's a variety of people on here. And yeah, you can come on here anytime. So you're more than welcome. And we'll be catching up with you once you qualify for Boston. You can tell us your whole experience about
Oh,
that.
man.
So
Hey, let's just make that a goal. You know what? If we say that, then it's gonna lock it in my brain. So no time frame. Maybe the next 12 months. Let's do this again with my Boston story.
There it is. So thank you once again, Carlos, for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Until tomorrow, join me for my kettlebell guest. This is Coach Ray Z, Athletic Definition. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Ray. Take care, guys.